So this is a Q&A, which means you supply the Q, and we will do our best to give you the A. So, I'm Christine Auten, voice actor, director, former director and producer of anime.
Yay!
I'm Carli Mosier, voice actress for Funimation and Seraphim Digital Media and Amusement Park Media and ADP and a bunch of ADP's little subparts. Yeah, that's me. Hi.
Hello. So, hey, great.
Oh, hi. So yes, questions.
Hi.
Questions.
Yeah, so, okay.
What's it going to take to what? A Mermaid Melody to actually get released. A lot of money that I don't have, I assume. No, actually, from what I understand, it was being shopped around a lot while we were making it. And the sad thing is there is a marketing, that shows a marketing awesome show because there's like toys and dolls and everything, and so they were shopping it to like Cartoon Network and a couple of Disney and Nick and a couple other places, and everybody was saying it was either too young for the older preteen girls or too old for the young little girls, and we didn't really agree, but nobody picked it up and it's never been released. So maybe if the fans start like an awesome writing campaign and demand that it get released and say, hey, we will buy not only the series but all the stuff that goes with it. Yeah, maybe they'll release it. I don't know. But I'm dying because Lucy and Brittany are phenomenal on that show. Every single girl that has worked on that show is just awesome. It was a really, really fun show to work on. Yeah. It's like Sailor Moon, but mermaids. And they're rock stars. And they fight demons with their little pop songs. It's awesome. It's awesome. Oh my gosh. Thanks.
Next question? I can't do a little cricket sound, but I will.
I know, Chris.
Since you've done like editing and all that, how much influence do you have on which sounds come from the USA?
On which what? That's actually a completely separate part of the business. There are, licensors, and it's really up to the company that's licensing the product. And once it's licensed and set for release in the United States is when it gets handed over for us to do the English dub. Sorry, I wish I did though, really.
I wish we had a lot more influence.
Yeah, we don't have the influence we would like to have. Any more question?
What stage roles have you played?
Stage roles. Oh my gosh.
Is this louder? Yeah, it is louder. Awesome.
That's a good one. That's I haven't. Last time I did theater was about 4 years ago. But before that, I was really active in theater, and I've played everything from Abigail in the Crucible to weird, quirky things that people didn't know. I did a lot of Shakespeare. I did. Last thing I did was that really meant anything. I was on the cover of American Theater magazine for a premiere of a Shanley play that I was in. That was it. That's all I got.
I've been doing theater since I was 6, and I've done a lot of musical theater, so there's that. Let's see, but I've done Grease and Cats and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Oklahoma, and every cheesy musical you've ever heard of. And when I got to high school, I went to the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts as an actor, and I did a lot of stuff for class, but my biggest claim to fame at PDA was we did Into the Woods. I don't know if any of you guys were buffs. And in my director's ultimate wisdom, I was a junior, and so all seniors were given the lead roles, and the juniors were like, whatever, y'all can try out for everything else. So I was cast oddly as Snow White. I wonder why. 'Cause, I'm not pale or anything. Anyways, she comes in at the end, and I was like, well, this is lame. I really like the show, and it's awesome, and I really wanted to be, I wanted to be Baker's wife or Red Riding Hood or something awesome, but I'm Snow White and I'll just make the best of it. Well, in the middle of rehearsals, my fantastic director decided, you know what, I saw this awesome production of Into the Woods and they had a real person playing Milky White the cow. And so I decided that I want one of the cast members to play Milky White the cow. And guess who that's going to be? Snow White. Since you're already white and really pale, we'll just put a white tracksuit on you and some horns because cows have horns. No, they don't. And a bell, cowbell. And so I was really devastated. Like I would really, honestly, like what does Milky White the cow do? Nothing, just absolutely nothing. Has an interaction with Jack. I ended up deciding, I was like, no, well, this is going to be the best relationship in this whole show. Like, everybody's going to love Jack and Milky White the cow. And so I actually stole the show and, like, won a theater award that year for being Best Supporting Actress for Milky White the cow, in which I had no lines, no singing. It was awesome. It was great. I've also, since then, I've done The Cat's Meow, which is an insanely awesome play. If you haven't seen it, about Marianne Davies. I've done a lot of theater with Chris Patton, Chris Ayers, Greg Ayers, Monica Riel. I've done, with them, I've done Runaways, The Rocky Horror Show. I was Columbia, which is awesome. And I've done Hair. I've done Pirates of Penzance. I've done the Laramie Project, which is probably one of my proudest moments. I don't know if you guys know about the young man that was, the young gay man that was killed many years ago in Laramie, Wyoming, and there's a play about him and the people that were affected by his death, his murder, and that was a really awesome play to be a part of. And now, as of this weekend, I'm not there, but I'm starting a theater with Chris Patton called Eon Theatrics, and it's a musical theater company that we are doing all modern, fresh, young musicals that hopefully will make people like musical theater again. And our company auditions are this weekend, and I'm really freaking out. Like, that's where I was on the phone, like, okay, so what do we got? So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. High School Musical? No, we're kind of going, like our first season is, I don't know if any of you guys are musical theater people, but Spring Awakening, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and a show called Glory Days, which is about some young guys that graduate high school, that have grown up together, that graduate high school, go off to college, come back and realize that they're all very, very different, and how they cope with, one of them's coming out, and one of them, has decided to join the priesthood. And it's a really interesting musical, but yeah, nothing. I don't think we're going to do anything. I mean, we won't even do anything like Oklahoma or Cats or anything like that. I think it's going to be all young, fresh, modern, hip, edgy. High School Musical. I've only never seen High School Musicals, so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't look at that. I don't know. Alright, next question.
Any more questions?
Another one for Carli. Do you have to be a certain age to audition?
No.
Sweet.
Yes. You have to be 18 to audition, 17 with parents' permission.
Okay.
16 or 17 with parents' permission.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. And that will be the case forever and ever.
Sweet.
What was your first role, and do you think you'd keep doing after that? Do we think that we would keep voice acting, or doing that particular, pursuing that career in voice acting after that?
Does anyone remember about Galaxy Fraulein Yuna Returns? Yeah, I had a very small part. It was the very first thing I did. And it was actually, I did that in lieu of an audition because they didn't have auditions at the time. So instead of doing an audition, they just had me come in and do like 5 lines or something. And that was all I needed to know, to know how to do it. I was like, wow! And I was auditioning, using that role, auditioning for Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. And so I got that part, and that was a really long series. It was 24 episodes, so it took a long time to record. And so after that, I was just completely hooked.
My first role, I had gone in for my audition. It was very uneventful, and I waited like almost a year to get called for anything. And I got called for a very small part, an episodic character in Loki Ragnarok, playing a AV, I don't know what they're called, a bird vet, just like a bird specialist. And it was the first time I'd ever heard Greg, who is a very good friend of mine, do voice acting, and I was like, that's Greg, that's awesome. That's me talking to Greg, and we're cartoons. That's awesome. But I really honestly believed that no matter how much I wanted to do it, I didn't think I would ever get hired again. I just really didn't. I was like, I can't believe that this is.
That's why I mentioned that Bubblegum was a long series, because if it weren't the fact that it was a really long series, I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah.
If it was a one-off and that my first job was an audition for that really long series.
Yeah.
It was, and this was a time when ADV was doing 2 titles every 6 months. I mean, we had one recording studio, and you did very few titles. So if you weren't in one of these 2, you don't work. So yeah, I felt the same thing. But I had a major character in a long series, so I kind of knew at least until that was done, I was okay.
I knew I did an okay job, but it was like 8 months later because I didn't get called for anything after I'd done that first thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I must have really been bad. And some girl that worked there just wasn't showing up for work, wasn't doing her job, and they were like, we need a voice match, and we need somebody that's at least done this before, once or twice. And then that ended up being a bunch of episodes, and I was like, oh, alright, I can prove myself, I have more time.
That's a funny thing. I've had to do voice matching a whole lot, where I'll be working on a show and they'll realize that a line that someone recorded is either wrong, or they want to change it, or they said the wrong thing, and they can't call this person back in for one word, basically. So, can you do it? But it's actually not that hard to do if you listen to it enough. You can voice match.
Yeah.
A lot.
Thanks. Questions? More questions?
More questions? Oh, come on.
What do you like to do other than besides work, like hobbies, or what do you do otherwise?
I like to camp. I like camping.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much. I've kind of got this little bit of an RV obsession right now, where I go online and look at all these RVs. I don't know. I think I like the micro living idea. Contained. It's my own little, apocalypse vehicle. If things go crazy, I can just live in this. So I'm really excited about that. And, my husband and I take trips, really long trips, where we'll just get in our RV and it's tiny. When I say RV, most people think these huge things. No, it's tiny. It's a Toyota little itty-bitty thing. But we get in our little Toyota and go across the country. It's pretty awesome.
I want to do that. That sounds awesome.
It is awesome. Well, but also like camping, we have cable, two monitors. We have a Mac Mini that's like an entertainment center. So I don't know if you can call it camping. We have a refrigerator, a stove, an oven, a bathroom with a shower. It's not exactly roughing it, but if you want to watch TV, the better. What would you rather watch, in your room or by a lake?
Yeah.
I want to watch TV by a lake.
I sing. I'm in a couple bands. My husband's a musician. I'm in a band with him, and I really like that a lot. I'm learning to play guitar, which is very challenging at my very old age. It's really funny. funny that I decided now.
I keep trying to, but I can't.
I'm doing okay. I'm gonna be a really awesome rhythm player, but I don't know if I'll ever be a good lead guitar player ever.
I played piano since I was 6, so translating this to this is not working for me.
Well, yeah, and I used to do piano lessons too, and so I have that in me. Yeah. So I'm obsessed with guitar right now, and I'm obsessed with horror movies. I watch a lot of horror movies. Zombies is my big thing. I don't know if anybody follows me on Facebook or whatever, but I'm a big zombie fanatic, and I read a lot, probably more than I should. And I really like spending time with my husband. Like, he and I are super crazy, close, best friends, awesome, you know.
I think that's why I like the camping so much, because it's just the two of us.
Yeah. I think I feel really lucky in that particular part of my life. Oh, and I guess I should mention, I do a lot of politicking in my town, and my mother is the head of like a women's political group, and she's putting together this big women's summit, so that's kind of taken over my life. Right now I have like my theater that I'm starting, my bands that I'm getting ready to like hit the stages with, and my political stuff. I'm a little bit crazy. So, yeah. That's it.
That's a good question.
That was a good question. More stuff? More questions? You want me to ask y'all questions? Really embarrassing questions? Really awful questions?
Last movie I saw in the theater? What was the last movie I saw in the theater? I'm calling a friend. Yeah, I don't know what it was. No, I think we actually liked the last one. I can't. One of the last movies I saw on DVD was, or actually Netflix, was Cedar Rapids. Really good movie. Cedar Rapids is real great.
I'm kind of a dork, and I really don't like theaters because I don't like cell phones, and I don't like people taking my seat. I don't like people being jerks, and I always have to go to the bathroom, and so I always miss something. And it gets to be a real drag to be with me at the movies, so I don't go a whole lot. And this is gonna sound horrible. The last time I went to a movie theater was to see a screening of a zombie movie that I'm in. Isn't that lame? Like, that's so lame. Like, I went to go see myself at a theater that, like, I'm super lame. Like, the last movie I saw, period, is the funniest, most ridiculous documentary you've ever seen, ever. And I don't know if any of y'all are Beatles fans, but there's a documentary called Paul Really Is Dead, and it's narrated supposedly by George Harrison before he died, and he's talking about how Paul died, and then they got this guy, and they made him look like Paul McCartney, and what they call him fake Paul. It's hilarious, and if you guys like the Beatles, just for entertainment alone, it's a really good time.
I remember now. Super 8. Yeah, it's awesome. Super 8's really great.
And he turns around, runs through a crowd of people, and just takes the mask off. And very quickly, the party realizes...
An anime actor, what?
He's wearing standard decorum wear and then a mask over his face. And he just whips the mask off, and they're like...
Y'all do that?
Sorry, the competing channels. Yeah.
Who is the anime actor that y'all want to meet that y'all haven't met yet?
Oh, that we want to meet. Voice actor that we would like to meet or we have not yet met ourselves. There are several, and mostly it's because I hear about stories about them at conventions where they're like really funny, and I'm like, oh, awesome, that would be a fun person to meet. I've pretty much met everybody that I admire, especially the girls. Like I have the pleasure of meeting a lot of actresses. Lucy Christian, Laura Bailey, Christine, Caitlin, Brittany, Karbowski. They're all friends of mine, so I'm really lucky in that respect.
I can answer, but it won't be an anime voiceover. It would be Frank Welker. don't know if anybody knows Frank Welker or Frank Welker. I mean that guy legend.
It used to be Michael Center Nicholas. I've never met him. I really like his work, but I met him at IkiCon. So, ding, done. Want to meet him again. Most of the, like, anybody that's, like, I've met Robert Axelrod, Scott McNeil, all the big time, like the big heavy hitters in our industry, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know.
I've been doing this since the dawn of time, so I've pretty much met everybody in the anime world that of the old guard. But there's a lot of new people who are really awesome that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. But
yeah, and I've met most of them at the animation kind of stuff. So.
Any more? The Velociraptor.
I was a dinosaur fanatic when I was a kid. My favorite was the Brontosaurus.
Yay!
Hell yeah! I mean, I really don't know why. Like, it just something about the front, like just gentle giant, awesome, so cool. Like Snuffleupagus, the dinosaur. You know? So probably that. I wouldn't want to be T-Rex though. Like, can you imagine? Like, no wonder. He's so mad. But yeah, you have no arms. Like, of course I'd be mad. Tiny arms, tiny hands, terrible. I would be really angry all the time. Horrible. Alright.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
I don't think I have one.
I think we might be the only two non-Pokemon fans. Like,
No, I don't.
I have so much overexposure from my nieces and nephews that don't know what I do. Like, they, you know, and it's just like, Pika what? No, go away. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. No. Oh my god. Yeah. And then not really our generation. Like,
No.
Yeah, I guess so.
like,
Yeah.
you want me to talk about cartoons? You know, I'll talk about Transformers. I'll talk about Thundercats. I'll talk about Jen. I want to get Jen.
Yeah.
Speed Racer.
Speed Racer.
I really want to be Trixie.
If you could be an animal, what animal would you be?
I'd be one of my cats because they're very well fed and they don't do anything all day.
Yeah, I always talk to my cat. What are you complaining about? My cat acts like a dog. She's always calling me, meowing and meowing and meowing, and I want something and I want rubs. It's always rubs. You're the most spoiled thing on the planet. I want to come back with you. You can sleep better than I can all the time. You say like one little noise and I'm like, what do you want? What do you need? Are you okay? You alright? Yes. I would love to come back as somebody's spoiled rotten cat. That would be freaking awesome. Actually, been like I've heard of some stuff. I think that'd be a really awesome experience for the bird and fly all the time. Seriously, that's awesome.
Any more?
I'm so hot. Are y'all hot? Am I the only one that's like I never sweat ever. Like I'm always freezing and
It's really warm in here. Sorry guys.
I feel like I'm glistening or whatever they say in the South.
What about the guys in the back? You guys, you look like you're thinking about stuff. Or are you just sitting for a while to get some rest?
You don't even have to ask us about anime. Just ask us whatever. The Mythbusters. The question was if there's something strange in the neighborhood and you can't call the Ghostbusters, who would you call? I would call the Mythbusters. And fortunately for us, Christine Auten is married to one of the Mythbusters. No, they're not really though. He's not really. Sorry.
Oh, Okay. I'm just gonna start pointing now. Oh, you haven't had one yet. He's had several. You can ask anything you want all the time. Who wants to talk louder? You can? You're gonna be saying after him? Again?
That's a terrible thing to say.
He asked who's our favorite director to work with? That's a hard question. That's really hard. I mean, each director has a different approach and a different way of working, and if the director is really into the project that they're working on, they're wonderful to work with, whoever they are. I mean, if they're really dedicated to it and they're really into it and are there for you as an actor, they're great. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to...
Yeah. The requisite answer, the answer that as an actor I should give, and I really do believe this, is you learn something from every director that you work with. You're going to grow as a person and an actor with every single director. So how can you not love whatever director it is that you work with? I've been really fortunate, especially lately, to work with a lot of directors I've never worked with that I really respect. So that's been really cool. But I really kind of have to be super honest. Chris Ayers is one of my best friends in life. Like, he's like my brother, and he's been my director in theater since I was 17. So almost half my life. So for me to not say that we've known each other for so long that there's just a quickness between us. I know where to go without having really having to expound on whatever. So I like that environment. I like that he and I can be creative and go back and forth, and I am comfortable in that. I don't really necessarily feel that way with all the directors that I work with, because I'm an actor that listens to directors, so I don't always feel comfortable saying, I think it should be like this, because I don't know, I'm not the director, I'm just an actor. But I like that back and forth with Chris, so I mean, he's one of my best friends, so. But I really do love working with every director, and lately I got to work with Chris Evans, and he's hilarious, so.
My relationship with directors changed when I started directing, because I realized what they go through. And they're like, wow, I have a very different idea now. So I learned, especially when I started directing, I started to appreciate every single director I worked with very, very much. And I can name someone out right now, though, that I only worked with once, and it was just fairly recently, actually, Caitlin.
Oh, yeah.
She's fantastic. She's a really wonderful director. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with her a lot.
That's what I hear. I'd like to work with Caitlin. I got to work with my first female director, Terry Doty, and I was like, hey, sweet girls, awesome. But I've never worked with Colleen or Caitlin, and I would totally love to do that, because I think that that's always going to be girl power.
Yeah, Caitlin's good. You have the next one back there.
Oh, yeah.
Other version.
Is there been a show y'all worked on and y'all kind of didn't know how to process it? It was just that weird and crazy.
What show have you worked on that was just so weird you didn't even know how to process what it was that you were doing?
I have a really good answer to this one. Has anybody ever seen the Fukons? It's an offshoot of a Japanese show called Oh Mikey, and this isn't an animated show. It's live action with mannequins. And so the mannequins are posed, and there's some dialogue, and then they cut to another shot, and they're posed a different way. It's about an American family that is transferred to Japan for work reasons, and then it's just the zany adventures they go on. And it was a really special case in that when we licensed it at ABB, the stipulation was that it would be directed by the creator from Japan. So the Japanese creator came down with his entourage and a translator, and they wanted to do it in the Japanese style. And we're not really set up to record Japanese style. I don't know if anybody knows about what that is, and it's basically several microphones in a circle, and then the actors sit around them, and they have the scripts, and they come up and record. They just do the whole story. And we don't do it that way. We do one actor at a time in the booth by themselves. So we weren't really set up to do it that style, but they wanted to try it anyway in a modified way. So what we did is they had the main three characters there together all day. We had a studio that has 3 different booths, and the 3 of us got in each of the 3 booths, and we ran through it together with the translator and the director in each booth with us each time we did it. And they would run through it the whole episode, which the episodes were really short. They were like 8 minutes, so it's very, very short. And so we'd run through the whole episode with each character having a director in with them at one point. And then instead of recording it all at once, like you'd think, because we're in 3 different booths and you could do that, we just then recorded all of my lines. And then all of Rob Munkle's lines. And then all of Kira's lines. And each time with the little director and the translator in the booth with us while we were doing it. And it was so difficult to process that as far as how we're used to working. And plus, because of that, they got a very Japanese read out of all of us, which is very different than what we're used to with American audiences. And what that means is very, very little dynamic. So I don't know any people who've seen it, but Barbara talks like this all the time. It's up here like this. Oh my goodness! And it never changes. It never dips. It never. And anytime I try to do any sort of like variation or anything, oh no, the whole time. And so it was really difficult for me to wrap my brain around that. And we did 4 episodes like that, and then they decided that our way was probably better, and they left, and we did the rest of them our way.
The weirdest shit that I've ever done, let's see. I'm not surprised by anything in anime anymore, so that really doesn't shock me. Like, I recorded a show recently, and like my character's really dumb, and she has big boobs, but she's a really awesome fighter, and like, what? So stuff like that doesn't bother me, but I did record this live-action movie where it was done in Germany, but all the dialogue was in English. So all the actors were German, but the dialogue was English, and the main girl her accent was so bad you couldn't really understand what it was that she was saying. So I went in and auditioned, and I got cast to basically be her voice in this movie. And it was weird because you want to talk about matching flaps. Like, it's a movie. They've filmed it, and you have to make sure you have everything exactly the same. And not only that, but it was an erotic thriller. So you had to be like super weird, and there were some situations that I was like, oh really? I gotta moan? Okay, awesome. This is gonna be great. And it's not like cartoons. You can kind of be like, oh, it's a cartoon, whatever. But then I was like, this poor girl had to do that in real life, and now I have to voice it. John Spacey was the director, and we came up with a really cool technique, which is basically a technique we kind of use in anime, which is kind of peep and repeat, where I would listen to her and then try to go for whatever intention she was going for in the actual tape, but still they had the exact cadence and the exact timing, and it became almost second nature. And the weird thing is that when we were all said and done, my voice, it really looked like my voice was hers, like that. It was wicked cool. I was like, awesome. It doesn't even, that doesn't even look like it's. But then, yeah, awesome. That's cool. So.
You know that every action movie you watch, the dialogue's not live, right?
Yeah.
It's looped. It's recorded. Yeah. So I mean, those guys who do looping professionally, they are amazing.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's
bad
really
looping
hard.
is bad.
Bad looping is bad.
That will throw me out of a movie faster than anything. Like, why do I hear her 2 seconds after she said whatever it is that she's saying? That's terrible. I hate that.
Yes.
Any more questions?
What are some recent projects you've been working on that you can talk about that you want to say something about?
Because I kind of semi-retired, I can actually talk about things because it was kind of a while ago. Eating of the East is the last thing I did, so that's easy.
I just did Night Raid with Christopher Ayers. It's a
I'm looking forward to that. That looks really cool.
yeah, it's a really, really cool show. It's very noir, very dark. I play the narrator, who is also the prophetess, and really awesome role. Like I was super. I don't get to play the cool narrator voice a lot.
I got that all the time, so I'm glad other people get to do it.
Yeah, I get a lot of best friends and a lot of like the zany sister or whatever.
Very true.
So it was kind of cool to like, even though she wasn't the lead or whatever, it was nice to kind of be, because I love noir movies. I love that. Like I was like, I get to be that girl, awesome. And then every time a new friend of mine would go into the booth, I would get a text message and be like, oh dude, I totally just heard you. It sounds so cool. Yay! Heaven's Lost Property is I come in the first season, and then all of the second season I play Astria. She's the big boob stupid girl, the awesome fighter. I am also in Baka and Test. I am the lead character's sister, who's really creepy and which was fun because I'm not that at all. And I loved freaking Terry Doty out. Like I do stuff when I do something really creepy to Josh and say something like, get out of my head, I'm gonna close it. Like, oh my god, stop recording. Oh my god. Good. So there's and then Shin Chan, of course, is like my big thing that I finally got to be like, yeah, I'm in that. I can tell people, because I've been in that for over a year and haven't been able to say anything because the Japanese were trying to figure out releasing times and all that good stuff, and so I was like, is that gonna tell people? No, not yet. Okay. Can you tell me now? But it's so cool, please. So those are my 4 big things that are kind of recent. I am Shin-chan's aunt, Bitsy. She's a photographer that goes off to Africa and becomes the girlfriend of some drug warlord and becomes addicted to something called brown, which I didn't realize was a real thing, and wow, look it up sometime. And then she comes back and she hangs out at Shin Chan's house and is like trying to get clean, and that's not really her story in Japan or anything, but that's the story it is in English, and that's really funny. And I get to say a lot of really gross, disgusting, awesome things. I like these jokes, so that was really good. Like I love listening to Laura Bailey. Like, stuff got pooped and stuff. So yeah, but Aunt Bitsy, that's me. Any more?
We're gonna start asking you guys questions now.
I am. Not even kidding.
All of you from Austin?
Yes.
Austin. Where are you from? Texarkana. Right on. Place where nobody's been. It's a place like, I driven through there. Yes, sir. Back. Well, I see myself doing all kinds of things all day long, every day. Like today, I brushed my teeth, and then I took a shower, and I went swimming.
Sorry, you're on context. What you're doing right now, do you see yourself continuing to do that for years to come?
Anything other than voice acting?
I actually do something else now. So, Yeah, I actually help run a conference now. I like it. So it's a lot of fun. And I eventually would probably like to open an RV park / gallery. Live in my RV.
Oh my god, you should get with Josh Greeley's dad. He's like this really awesome cowboy artist. Oh wow. And that looks so good. We can make it happen.
Like a gallery, coffee shop, RV park.
It'd be awesome. We can make it happen. I do things now. I have a day job, but you know I'm in bands and I plan to continue that, and I do movies and I plan to continue that, and I love voice acting. Don't get me wrong, but you know most actors start out being actors, not voice actors. So whatever whenever I can get on stage, I'm starting a theater right now. So you know there's things that I don't. This is not just a short-term project. We're already planning 5 to 10 years down the road. So hopefully I'll be making money doing that, still voice acting, and doing a lot of conventions and hanging out with awesome fans. So that'd be really cool. My questions.
Another great one that a lot of people don't think of.
What? Favorite restaurants? I think we had this one yesterday.
I asked that.
Huh?
I asked
Yours.
that.
I like a lot of places. One of my favorite places, actually, I just went back to. It was in Houston, a restaurant called My's, and it burned to the ground, and then they rebuilt it better than ever. And so My's in Houston is now again my favorite restaurant.
It's awesome.
I have to go really far to eat there, but it's my favorite.
24 hours.
It's completely worth going that far to eat there, but it's really good. Open 24 hours, yeah.
My favorite restaurant. I'm a New Orleans girl. Like I'm a Houston girl, but I'm a New Orleans lover. Like I love New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of New Orleans, and the food there is ridiculous. And my favorite actual restaurant sit down place is there's a place called Pierre Maspero's in the quarter that's awesome, and they have this thing called pistolets, and it's fried bread with seafood and cream sauce, and oh my god, it's the best thing ever. And then of course Cafe Du Monde.
Duh, yeah.
It's just like the best place. I eat beignets, coffee, and 2 in the morning drunk people that are falling all over themselves. It's great. How can you not love that? But I'm a foodie. Like I may not look it, and I was telling somebody earlier, take a picture, please. Show people I eat. I do. I love to eat. I love food, and my mother is the writer for a food review article in Houston. So I have the immense honor to get to go to lots of restaurants to try food for her. So because she can't eat everything, so. It's hard to pick a favorite restaurant when you get to go try something new all the time, all the time. Maybe I should say something like Olive Garden. Olive Garden. But no, I mean I like mom and pop shops. I like places that are run by a family or a couple or just a dude or a chick just trying to start out and make into the restaurant business. I like supporting local business, so anywhere I go, that every convention I want whoever is there to take me to what's local, what's something I can't go have at every corner in every town. I don't want fast food.
Have any of you guys been to a little tiny, it's in a strip center in North Austin? It's called Yummies, and it's like Korean tacos. It's awesome.
I want to go try this place.
It's awesome.
We were talking about last night.
Another question? I'm going to start pointing at people and putting them on the spot and make them ask things.
Jack the Ripper being one of them.
Are you asking me a math question? So I'm going to stop you right there. I am not a math girl. That is a good question, but I will tell you that whatever answer I give you will be wrong.
What's your zombie plan?
My zombie plan? My RV.
Ah.
It's fiberglass all the way around. They can knock. Very low base. It's great. We're safe.
Perfect.
Actually, I do have a zombie plan, and that's sad to admit. I really do. My zombie plan involves that dude right there, and some other friends that are in Texas, like Terry and Steven and Christine and her RV, and
Sleep six comfortably.
I'm telling you. And then honestly, I want to go to Colorado where our friend James Scott Fraser lives. I don't know if y'all know who Jane is. She's awesome. And she's already growing hydroponic fruits and vegetables and stuff indoors. And I was like, okay, so she's got the setup ready to go. We're gonna go to that place. She's surrounded by the mountains. Don't think that the zombies are gonna want to climb the mountains, nor will they like the cold. Awesome. And I already know that Steven and Terry are totally, seriously, totally ready to go.
Yeah.
So just by virtue of having those two with us, I think we'll be totally fine. And we're bringing Michael Tatum and Joshua with us, just in case. We're in trouble, and Michael probably not a real fast runner, so.
Oh, for bait, okay.
I love him. Joshua, he'll probably make it, but Tatum, I don't know. And we've had this conversation with Tatum, you will be the first to go, you know that, right? I love you too, you're awesome. If you fall, that's it for you, man.
Do you have any non-math questions? One of my voices? Oh, Lady Death. Man, the daughter of the devil? Yeah. Or Briss, because, the boomers, are kind of zombie-like. So she can fight the zombies.
I'd probably bring Astria with me from These Lost Properties because she is stupid, but she's also a really good fighter. So she wouldn't really have any fear to go after the zombies, and then I wouldn't feel bad if she died because she's not that smart.
Jeannie from Rune Soldier, LV Hadia. I play a lot of fighters, so
Yeah.
if I could have all of them with me.
The female Spartan from Halo 11 would probably be the best. I mean, she already has armor and everything, so her.
Echo comment, she's naked.
If you could live in one of your characters' universes, which one would it be?
Azumanga
Yes.
I'm just doing the first thing on the top of my head.
Probably Naramadaikon Brothers. It's just so zany.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's zany.
I'm not in that, but I'd go live there too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Crazy. And what a weird. Anything with Nabashin in it. Anywhere, I think we're good.
Yeah.
So, any of Nabashin's world, that'd be awesome. Fun. Yeah.
That was a good one. No, somebody can talk. Okay.
Have you ever influenced one of your characters with your voice? You were doing it, they liked something you were doing, so they asked you to keep doing it?
You mean change something about a character because of something, a choice you made in the booth?
Doesn't happen very often because a lot of the characters they play are along a long series, so there's a definite character already there that's already been voiced. But as far as I've worked with actors who have brought something into the booth that I didn't expect, that I wasn't looking for, that I liked better, and I've let them go with it. That's much better. So that's happened quite a bit.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple times. Usually the actual personality is pretty set, but you can kind of sometimes like most of the characters that I do are kind of small, but the bigger ones I can usually go in and do something, and the director will be like, oh, I didn't think about it that way, and it's usually a read. It's usually like a particular scene or like, you know, this particular episode we were gonna make her kind of more sad. But instead, we're going to make her more determined, and you know, because of something that you read this line this way, and it made me think, oh yeah. More often than not, I hear from directors it happens in the audition process.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you think you're going to go one way with a character, and then somebody reads and sends in their audition, and you're like, oh yeah.
I did something with Best Student Council. I've been voice acting for a really long time, and all the women that I worked with, it's a mostly women show. There's only like 2 dudes in the whole thing, and John Swayze was both of them. I wanted to do something a little bit different since I knew all the actors very well. I'd known them very well for a long time, and I did have them come and audition because I just kind of wanted to see something, but I completely cast as against type as I possibly could for everybody, and just to see what it would make them do, you know? And so, you know, characters who normally play these squeaky, I mean, I put them in the dark character, right? People who normally play the dark character, I was like, yeah, you're gonna be my squeaky today, you know. So, and just by nature of the fact that it was opposite their normal character that they normally play, it brought kind of a middle ground to it, that a flavor to that high character that's different than other people doing that high character. So it worked out really well. I really was very happy with the cast of that show, and they did wonderfully. But it's just kind of fun when you're casting. If you know an actor's good, you've worked with them before, you know they can handle just about anything you put at them. To make them do something different than they would normally do and push them out of their comfort zone is a lot of fun. And a lot of times they end up enjoying it more, and then they give you more stuff, and they come with a lot more ideas, and it's really fun.
I think as an actor that's a big deal. Like anybody that gives me something that I was like when Chris cast me as the narrator in Night Raid, I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, totally. I think you came in and read it in a way that nobody else did, and I want that. That's the read I want. And I didn't realize that that's what I wanted until you came in. I was like, really? Okay, great, awesome. But I'd never really done anything quite that dark and mysterious. And, you know, I've noticed a trend lately of me getting the opportunity to do stuff that's a little more challenging in that way, a little more acting, really, which is nice.
There are certain directors that will always see you in a certain way, no matter what you do, no matter how you audition, no matter what you do. They'll always see you in a very specific character type, and you just kind of go with it, and that's fine. But there's a way to go around that. Is when you do Walla, which is when we do what we call background voices, and everybody has to do it. It's basically you just go into the booth and you're the one of the people on the airport who's eating their food while this other scene is happening, and you're the battlefield, and you have a very unique opportunity when you're doing that, and you're working with a director that maybe sees you in a certain thing all the time, maybe casts you a certain way all the time, or a new director that you've never worked with to try some really odd stuff. And that's a really good way to, and I know me as a director, when I hear that I go, oh, that sounded good. I'm going to think about this person now this way, you know. So it's a way to get that kind of voice out. It's fun. For me, it was extremely difficult because it was back in the mid-90s, where before Pro Tools. And what Pro Tools helps you do is that you can actually cut a line and add a word and move that word over. You can stretch a word out a little bit, and you do have to be accurate, but it gives you a little more margin for error. And you can do it a lot faster now. When I first started, there wasn't that option. It was tape. And you had to do it exactly, and you had to start exactly on time, and you had to match the flaps exactly, or you had to do it over and over and over again until you did. If there's a catch, if there's a breath, if there's a plosive, you have to hit them all exactly right. So it was like pulling my hair out, like one at a time with a hot. It was really, really hard, and I went home after every session going, I can't believe I have to do this. It's so hard. I suck so bad. And it was really really difficult and very hard on my poor husband who had to suffer through me doing it. But it taught me one thing. I'm really, really good at matching flaps now. I'm super, super good at it. But you don't have to be anymore. You can be really good, but you don't have to have the accuracy you used to. But now it's difficult. I won't lie to you. It's hard. But it's not as fun as it used to be.
And they record differently. ADV, which is now all those little subsidiaries, and Funimation record totally differently. So Funimation is a series of beeps before you start talking. So it's you preview your scene, and then you say, okay, you've seen what you have to do. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. And you beep, 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 and what would be that fourth beep is where you start talking. And it's pretty amazing because if you start right on the money, you're gonna end right on the money. And especially for somebody that's done it a while, where you kind of get the flow of how animation looks and the way that the writer has written for the flaps. So I mean, you can kind of get a feel, and it usually will take 2 or 3 takes for some, lines. Sometimes it will take longer depending on if there's a big word or there's a Japanese word that we don't know how to pronounce or something. At ADV, it's different. There's no beeps. It's just kind of...
It's a visual cue.
You just go.
Yeah.
You just watch it and you go. And there have been times at ADV when I'm just like zoned out. Not even preview. Like, I won't even preview. I'll just start talking just because I'm like, whatever. And start talking just because I can. Like, again, whatever. You don't really have that with Funimation. You have to have a beat. So you know when you're just previewing and you know when you're recording, but ADV sometimes you can just flub it and get through a line in one take real quick, and then like, sweet, I can't believe that worked. That was awesome. I didn't even watch it.
That harkens back to something, actual looping, where you have numbered loops and every line is a loop, and it's because of the physical tape going by, and the beeps had to match up at the time that it was looped around, and that's where it comes from. It's not necessary now, but after working with the beeps for a little while, I love them. I love the beeps.
Yeah, I didn't think
I'd ever get used to it, but I do.
It's especially for somebody that once you get into the rhythm of animation, you're like,
it's a funny thing. The matching can be one of the most frustrating things for the actor in the booth. It can be something that can derail a session faster than you can possibly imagine, and you see seasoned veteran actors just crumble because they can't match it. They just can't get it, and it's really difficult. And it's every actor works differently. Everybody's different at it. There are some people who are just complete savants. Like I'll mention Hillary Haig is like, she can be reading a magazine, look up and completely say her line exactly, and having never seen it before ever, having never seen it, having just she's just talk, 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 and I'm like, okay, we've just done 80 lines in 15 minutes. Okay, you can go now.
That's crazy.
And it's perfect. I mean, there's no...
I tried to do that once after hearing a story about Hillary. I was like, I can totally do that.
I can totally do that.
One line, I was like, no, can't. Really, though?
No, can't. No, can't. And there's no shame in not being able to do that. That's just weird.
Everybody's like,
there's no shame. There's no shame. It's just weird. Yeah, she's just strange that way.
It's 4:30.
It's 4:30?
Yeah. Okay, do we want to sign some autographs?
Sign some autographs.
Let's sign some autographs.
Yay.
Okay guys, so we're going to do what we did this morning. Y'all can all flow out.